Tonight, we're not just telling a story. We're stepping into a world where speaking your truth could mean disappearing forever. You don't know it yet, but today, the first day of the Cultural Revolution, will echo through time. Your name will be forgotten, but your silence will live on. Now close your eyes. Let go of everything you know about safety, about reason, about trust. It's gone. You wake up in the year 1966. The air hits you first, sharp, acrid, filled with something you can't quite place. Dust, smoke, no, ink, the smell of paper and burning ink. Your eyes blink open to a pale morning outside your apartment window. You see red flags in the street below. So many flags. The sound of boots, of teenage voices, chanting, shouting. Words you used to say in class, twisted now into something else. You sit up slowly. The floor beneath your feet is cold tile, familiar, but different. You're wearing the clothes of a modest school teacher, plain cotton, threadbare cuffs. Your bookshelf is still there, but 3 volumes are missing, burned. You remember now. Your hands tremble slightly as you touch your neck. The red scarf isn't there anymore. You took it off last night. It didn't feel safe anymore. You are 38 years old, a literature teacher in a quiet provincial school just outside Chongqing. You've spent your life quoting Confucius, teaching ancient poems, reciting truth. But this morning, truth is no longer welcome. Let the day begin. SFX. Footsteps on tile. Distant chanting builds. Flags flapping in wind. You step out of your flat and lock the door. As if a lock means anything anymore. Down the hallway, your neighbor stands frozen in her doorway. She's holding a red book in her hand. Not for reading, for surviving. She nods at you, not smiling, just surviving too. Outside, the streets are louder than usual. Teenagers in red armbands patrol like soldiers. Some are your students. They don't look at you with respect anymore. They look through you, waiting for a slip, a weakness, a wrong word. The posters are new, fresh glue, screaming ink. Black letters on bright paper nailed to every wall. Down with the old ideas. Down with the old culture. Down with the old customs. One of them has your name on it. You stop breathing for a second. Your name, scrawled in angry brushstrokes. Below it, enemy of the people, poisonous weed, capitalist roaches. It's your own student's handwriting. You taught him how to write that stroke, The sky is overcast, but the sun is rising somewhere behind the clouds. You don't feel it, only the weight in your chest and a small tremble in your fingers. You cross the street and pass an alley. Inside, a man is being shouted at. A circle of teenagers around him, screaming through loudspeakers. He's kneeling. His hands are tied. Books are piled at his feet. One catches fire. Your feet move faster now. You don't look back. SFX. Paper tearing. Distant radio cuts to patriotic music, then stops. The school gate is ahead. It doesn't look like a school anymore. The gate is draped in banners. The statue of Laozi is gone, smashed. The courtyard is full of chalk drawings of Chairman Mao, dozens of them, all with that same smile, that same stare. A Red Guard boy shouts your name. He's 16. He points a bamboo stick at your chest. You taught him calligraphy. Recite the chairman's verse, he demands. Your mouth goes dry. You nod. Your lips move. You say the lines you memorized yesterday, through a mouth that feels like someone else's. The east is red. The sun is rising. They watch you. They listen for hesitation, for fear. They don't find it. Not yet. He waves you through. You walk on, breathing shallow, each step echoing like thunder in your mind. Inside the classroom, your desk has been flipped. Your personal notebooks are gone. Your ink pot smashed. Only a small paper remains taped to the blackboard. Today's lesson, revolutionary poetry only. Confucius is dead. You sit. The students file in slowly. No one greets you. They stare, half curious, half dangerous. And then she arrives. Your top student, smart, bright. You once gave her your own book of Tang Dynasty poems. Now she walks to the front of the room. Uninvited, she holds a whistle, and she starts to speak. Not to learn, to accuse. SFX. Oh, clock ticking. Heartbeat sound. Slowly rises. Low, uneasy strings. Welcome to the first day of the Cultural Revolution. Welcome to a world where thought itself is treason, where history is being rewritten by children, where silence is not safety, it's a target. And you still think you can survive this? Let's find out. Before your eyes fully open, something burns your nose. Not the cold, not the usual chalk dust or mold. This is chemical, bitter, a sharp stinging scent of fresh paint and blood. You lie on a hard bamboo mat, covered with a thin gray blanket. The pillow beneath you isn't yours. It smells like salt and smoke. Your eyes open slowly. The morning light slices across the room in a thick yellow line, filtered through torn curtains. Outside, someone is shouting again. Slogans, names, orders. But inside this small box of a room, time feels slower, heavy. You sit up. Your back aches from last night's floor. You had no choice. Your bed was torn apart in the search. They didn't find anything, but they left the pieces there as a warning. Your shoes are neatly placed at the door. Too neatly. You didn't leave them that way. You look around. The mirror is gone. Your bookshelf is mostly empty. Your poetry volumes were taken. The ones with your notes in the margins. Now, only a little red book sits on the center shelf. Quotations from Chairman Mao Zedong. You touch it. The spine is still stiff. You've never read past the third page. SFX. Stomach growls. Old radio buzzes to life, broadcasting a Maoist song, then cuts. You're hungry. The kind of hunger that doesn't feel like emptiness, but pressure. You stand and shuffle into the kitchen. The rice jar is half full. A bowl of boiled cabbage waits on the stove, cold now, leftovers from last night. You chew slowly, no salt, no meat, just the bitterness of things pretending to be normal. Surprise historical fact. In 1966, even school teachers like you, once respected, stable, middle class, were forced to endure public humiliation, sleep on bare floors, and survive on rationed cabbage and moldy rice. And this is just the beginning. You finish the bowl. The walls of your apartment are too thin. You can hear your neighbor being interrogated. She was a music instructor. Someone said she once taught a Western song. The voices on the other side rise. Accusations, chants, shame. You pick up your cup and take a sip. The tea has gone sour. Still, you drink it. A knock at the door. You freeze. It's not a bang. Not the kind that comes with boots and fists. Just 1, 2, 3 soft knocks. You walk slowly, heart stiff in your ribs. It's a student, a girl no older than 16, wearing a red armband. Your student. She doesn't smile. Comrade teacher, she says, voice like paper. There is a morning reading session. You must attend. You nod. She doesn't wait for your reply. She walks away, but not before her eyes flick past you, just long enough to register your walls, your face, your hesitation. She's memorizing it all. You wash your face. The water is cold. The cracked porcelain sink stares back at you with a spider web of gray veins. You reach for your old glasses. The left lens is cracked. You wear them anyway. On the wall behind you, someone has scribbled a message in pencil. The 4 olds must die. You don't remember writing it. Maybe someone else did while you slept. Maybe it was always there. You walk to the hallway. The stairwell smells of wet plaster and old sweat. You descend in silence, surrounded by peeling walls and echoes. On the 3rd floor, an old man sweeps the steps. He avoids your eyes. You remember he once taught Chinese opera. Now he sweeps. You reach the street. SFX, street noise, distant whistles, newspapers flapping, cycling bells. You think you're early, but the sidewalk is already full. Children, students, parents, all reading aloud from Mao's red book, not just reciting, screaming, their mouths wide open, eyes glazed. Whole families in synchronized loyalty. You stand among them, holding your own copy, mouthing words you barely understand. Class struggle is the key link. Revolution is not a dinner party. Someone coughs next to you. The crowd parts slightly. A boy has fallen to his knees. He keeps reading, even as he vomits on the pavement. No one helps him. They just shout louder. You feel a hand push your back. A young comrade wants you to stand straighter. He corrects your posture. You do it. A truck rolls by. The back is full of confiscated furniture. Carved chairs, calligraphy scrolls, Buddhist statues, each piece once sacred, now labeled reactionary waste. You recognize one. A lacquered side table from the university rector's home. He's gone now. No one says where. You walk past the public notice board. It's been updated. 4 new names, 4 new faces, teachers like you, accused of spreading Western thinking. Each photo marked with a red X. You swallow. Your throat is tight. You keep walking. And then a scream, not from fear, from performance. Down the street, a crowd has gathered. A struggle session. You know the signs. A teacher is kneeling. His face is ink-stained. He's wearing a dunce cap with the word traitor on it. 2 red guards circle him, shouting slogans into megaphones, forcing him to repeat them. The crowd cheers. Someone throws an egg. It breaks across his shoulder. You don't look away fast enough. One of the red guards sees you, holds your gaze. You nod once, politely, obediently. He turns away. But you know what that was. It was a test. You walk faster. You reach the school gates. You step inside. Same building, new world. The blackboard reads, today's theme, the blood of the people, washes the stains of the past. And beneath it, your name, written in red chalk. Your lesson begins. Your first task, stay alive long enough to reach midday. You walk to the front of the classroom. The blackboard still bears your name, drawn in thick red strokes, outlined with accusation. A smaller student has added something beneath it. Poisonous weed. You don't erase it. The children are already seated. They look at you like museum visitors stare at bones, curious, cautious, unfeeling. Some take notes, not on the lesson, on you. How long you hesitate, whether you pause before quoting Mao, whether your voice trembles. You clear your throat. It does tremble. You begin the session with revolutionary poetry. You recite it slowly, carefully, pronouncing each word as if it carries weight beyond its syllables. Chairman Mao is the red sun in our hearts. His thoughts are rays of golden light. We follow him with blood in our veins. No one blinks. Then you invite a student to read. He stands, loud, aggressive. He looks directly at you as he speaks. Not to you, but at you. You smile weakly. A knock interrupts. 2 red guards enter. Teenagers, one with a whistle, the other with a clipboard. You've seen them before. They used to giggle in the lunchroom. Now they don't smile at all. They hand you a new lesson plan. The cover says, Re-education Module Number 4, Eliminating Bourgeois Tendencies. You nod. They don't leave. They sit in the back row. Surveillance disguised as students. You write today's lesson on the board. Self-criticism, cleansing the mind. It used to mean something in philosophy. Now it means betrayal. SFX, scratching of chalk, light rain starting outside, a distant metal gate clanging. You distribute papers for the class. Each student must write a paragraph about the crimes of their former teachers. You watch as they write, quick, confident, practiced. They've done this before. You catch glimpses as you walk down the aisle. He once said not all truth comes from the party. She allowed Western novels in her class. He looked bored during a rally. You wonder which sentence will be about you. You wonder how many have already been written. Your throat tightens. Your knees ache from standing too still. Your palms are damp. But the worst part isn't what's missing. It's the eyes. Internal whisper. Inner thoughts. Echoey filter. What if they notice I don't belong here? What if one wrong sentence ruins everything? What if I forget a slogan? You try to walk confidently. You straighten your posture. You murmur the correct phrases in your head like a spell. But inside, you're shrinking. The bell rings. Break time. You sit at your desk, but you don't relax. 2 students linger behind. One offers you a piece of dried bread. You thank him. He doesn't smile either. He whispers, almost without moving his lips. Be careful. They're asking about your wife. You freeze. Your wife teaches literature in a nearby school. She once wrote an essay praising Laozi. You haven't seen her in 3 days. You nod. He leaves. You eat the bread. It tastes like sawdust. SFX. Empty hallway. Chalk being crushed underfoot. Distant paper torn. Later you visit the faculty room. What used to be a shared space of conversation and warmth is now a silent corridor of locked drawers and blank stares. 3 desks are missing, not empty. Gone, as if their owners never existed. You don't ask. You just take your seat. Your colleague sits beside you. He doesn't meet your eyes. He slowly passes you a piece of folded paper. You open it under the desk. A name, yours, and a list of accusations in rough handwriting. Lacks revolutionary enthusiasm. Disagrees with simplified history of China. Avoids direct praise of Chairman Mao in classroom. You fold it, burn it with a match under your desk. Ashes fall into your tea. You drink anyway. You walk the hallway alone, past a display where they used to hang children's art. Now it shows mugshots. Men and women, heads bowed, labels around their necks. Rightist, spy, wife of bourgeois, reactionary pig. You know 2 of them. One gave you a wedding gift once. A framed quote from the Analects. That frame is now firewood. You turn the corner. A janitor stops you. Old, hunched, barely breathing. He says nothing. He only raises a hand. You follow the finger. Down the hallway, your classroom door is open, but inside, you see students rearranging desks, not for class, for a struggle session. You don't walk faster, you don't run. But inside, your heart drums loud enough to break ribs. You return to your seat. You take attendance. You call out names. They answer, one by one. But you know something's coming. A student stands. She holds up your notebook, the one they took last week. The cover is torn. Inside it are your notes about Confucian ethics, lessons on personal integrity, lines you thought were safe. She reads them aloud. The room turns quiet. You're asked to explain. You smile. You bow slightly. You say you were mistaken, that you were trapped in old thought, that you are grateful to be corrected. They nod. They believe you, or they pretend to. The bell rings again, but the day is far from over. You walk into the courtyard. Someone has written your name on the wall again, in red. Under it, suspected counter-revolutionary. You wonder if it'll be painted over, or if it's permanent now. You touch the railing. Rust flakes into your hand. You close your eyes. You're still here. But for how long? There's no room for weakness in this world, because even gods watch you. But they've changed. They don't sit in the sky anymore. They wear jackets now. They carry red books, and their names echo louder than any prayer. You're told there will be a loyalty ceremony at dusk, not optional, not private. You arrive early. You've learned that being early means fewer eyes. The courtyard has been cleared. The school's old stone circle, once used for morning exercises, is now an altar. You remember when this space smelled of chalk dust and ink. Now it smells of gasoline and cheap incense. You kneel like everyone else, even if you don't believe it. You kneel. A giant portrait of Chairman Mao is raised on wooden poles. His face glows in the falling light, like a sun that never sets. Below it, flowers, paper ones, red of course, and a candle in a glass jar protected from the wind. The students file in, silent, heads bowed. No one speaks. Then the loudspeaker crackles to life. An anthem begins, slow, majestic, artificially holy. You recognize the melody. You used to teach music with it, but the words have changed. Chairman Mao, you are the red lantern in the storm. You are the truth that banishes the ghosts. You say the words, mouth moving without voice. Because to remain silent is to choose death. One by one, the students step forward. Each raises their red book to the portrait. Each swears loyalty. Some are crying. Not from faith, from fear. You see a boy tremble. He fumbles his oath. His book falls. A red guard steps forward, slaps him across the face. No one reacts. The boy picks up his book, says the words again, louder. Then it's your turn. You rise, slowly. Your knees crack. Your fingers are stiff. You hold up your red book. The pages flutter slightly in the wind. You repeat the lines they've taught you, loud, clear. Chairman Mao is greater than heaven. I abandon all impure thought. I offer myself to the revolution. You bow, and you wait. No one stops you. No one drags you away. You return to your place, but your heart doesn't slow. Not yet. Effects, small fire crackling, papers being rustled. A drum beats, and then the burning begins. Not people, books, philosophy texts, poetry, Confucian scrolls, even a Bible. A small pile ignites in the center of the courtyard. No gasoline this time, just dry kindling and shame. One student steps forward. She drops a framed photo of her grandfather into the flames. You recognize her. She once told you her grandfather was a scholar, a man who taught ethics during the Republic. Now he's an enemy. And this is her offering. You reach into your coat pocket. Inside, you still carry a line of poetry. Tiny, folded, almost dust now. Li Bai. You memorized it as a boy. You unfold it. Hold it just long enough to see the ink fade into dusk. Then you toss it into the fire. A single word still burns on the edge. Quiet. Thematic anchor. Repetition begins. You are not just a servant. You are the offering. You say it in your mind. You say it again. Because you must believe it. Because everyone around you already does. Because if you don't, they'll know. The ritual ends in silence. No applause, no speeches. Only the soft whisper of shoes on gravel as people return to their rooms. You walk home under a sky that used to feel bigger. Now it watches you back. At your door, you pause. Something is pinned to it. A red strip of paper with black characters. Under observation. You peel it off slowly, not to destroy it, just to hide it from the neighbors. Inside your apartment, the candle on the table is still burning. You sit beside it. You place your red book beside it. The flame dances between the two. And in that moment, for the first time today, you allow yourself one thought, one that feels more dangerous than anything you've said. What if none of this is real? You close your eyes. You silence it. Outside, the wind stirs the ashes from the ritual fire. Among the blackened paper, some characters survive. Gentle, ancient, dignity. They won't last the night, but for one moment, they still exist. And so do you. No law protects you. Only power does. And power here is a shapeshifter. It doesn't come in grand halls or marble courtyards. It marches on student legs. It carries bamboo sticks. It chants slogans instead of laws. You are no longer a teacher. You are a body in a crowd, watching the new world decide its own rules. The morning begins with drums. You are summoned again. No official order. Just a knock, and the look, the unspoken understanding that when they say come, you go. You're taken to the town square. Once it hosted operas, children's theater, festival lanterns. Today it's a tribunal. Red banners hang from scaffolds. Wooden stages have been built from stolen desks and podiums. Portraits of Mao surround the space like silent judges. The square is full, 1,000 people at least, all in gray or red, all watching, all waiting for someone else to fall. SFX, crowd murmurs, distant loudspeakers starting up. They line up the accused on stage. 5 men, 3 women, 1 barely older than your students, all teachers. Each wears a cardboard placard around the neck, heavy, crudely painted. Enemy of the revolution, revisionist snake, agent of Western thought. Their crimes, owning too many books, criticizing a slogan, remaining silent when asked to clap. You shift your weight. A soldier notices. He stares until you stop moving. Then the governor's cart arrives. Not a limo, not a palace figurehead. A simple open truck, military green. Metal bench in the back. He steps out, not in uniform, in civilian cotton, like the rest of them, but cleaner, straight, ironed to perfection. He doesn't look at you. He doesn't have to. He walks to the stage. Someone hands him a red megaphone. He raises it, speaks calmly. These people once stood above you. Now you will judge if they deserve to return to your trust. The crowd responds like a machine. Slogan shouted, fist raised, eyes glowing with something not quite human. And you remember something a student once asked you? Why does evil always wear a face? Now you know. Because it doesn't have to. Evil can wear a uniform, but true control? It wears a smile, a red armband, and your handwriting. Centuries from now, historians will wonder what his name even meant. Past-future layering builds perspective. But today, his word decides who eats. A man kneels. The crowd demands self-criticism. He recites a confession. You recognize the script. It's the same one you practiced last night. Just in case. I regret not embracing revolutionary thought sooner. I regret questioning the necessity of struggle. I thank my fellow comrades for correcting me. The governor nods. The man is spared, for now. The woman beside him hesitates. She refuses to kneel. They drag her down. Someone slaps her. She bleeds from the mouth. Still she says nothing. The crowd roars. She disappears into the back of the truck. You never see her again. Your hand trembles slightly. A girl beside you notices. She's no older than 15. She whispers, "You should smile more." They notice everything. You nod. You force your lips upward. The skin around your jaw aches. But she's right. Here, power doesn't punish crime. It punishes doubt. You return to the school with the others. The sun is harsh now. The heat clings to your shirt like guilt. A notice is pinned to the school gate. All teachers must submit weekly self-criticism reports. All students must report deviation in speech or behavior. You walk past it. Inside, your office has been rearranged. Someone's gone through your drawers. They didn't steal anything. They just left it messier, unfolded, uncomfortable. A message. You sit down. The bell rings. Your classroom fills. But something's different now. A new student enters, older than the rest. Quiet. Sits in the back. He doesn't open a book. He doesn't even look at the blackboard. He just watches you. You've heard the rumors. Every classroom now has one. You begin the lesson. Revolutionary slogans. Geography of liberated provinces. Correct vocabulary for public praise. You teach like you're reading a recipe. You stir emotion into nothing. You cook survival into every sentence. The students repeat after you, eyes glazed, mouths obedient. But one girl is crying. You don't ask why. You keep reading, because this world doesn't need truth. It needs rhythm. At lunch, you eat alone. You sit in the teacher's lounge with your tin bowl of rice and pickled vegetables. Across from you, another teacher sobs quietly into his food. No one speaks, not even to comfort him. You finish your meal. You fold the napkin precisely. You return to class, because delay is noticed, silence is measured, sympathy is dangerous. You survive another hour, then another. Each word you say becomes a mirror. You see yourself in it, distorted, repeating, ashamed. As the day ends, a new announcement. A cultural purity inspection will begin tomorrow. Citizens are encouraged to report all hidden artifacts, symbols, or writings. Those who confess early will be treated leniently. Those who hide will be corrected. The speaker crackles into silence. You stand alone in the classroom. The blackboard still reads, "Serve the people." You erase it with your sleeve. The chalk dust clings to your fingers like snow. You walk home. That night, you dream, but not of freedom, of your wife, of your books, of a time when belief was something you chose, not something you swore to survive. You haven't spoken all day. There's no one to speak to. Words feel like a luxury now, or worse, a risk. Every syllable you utter is a step along a cliff edge, so you stay quiet. The walls of your apartment do not listen, but they remember. You can feel it, each crack in the plaster like an open eye. Your hands ache, not from labor, but from gripping the illusion of normalcy too tightly. You scrub your kitchen sink longer than necessary. You fold your bedding twice. You restack your ration coupons, not because it matters, but because it's something. A small, quiet war you can still control. In your hands, the same tool, the same weight, a red pencil, a blank form. Tonight's task, self-criticism journal entry number 3. You've already written 2. Each one a blend of obedience and apology. But this time the page stays blank longer. You don't know what to write, not because you haven't sinned, but because you no longer know what sin means. You pace your tiny room, 12 steps from wall to wall. You've counted. You always count. You glance at your bookshelf, half empty. The few titles you hid are gone, burned, buried, or bartered for silence. Only the red book remains, thicker than it looks, heavier than it should be. You pick it up. It feels like holding someone else's breath. You open to a random page. Let 100 flowers bloom. Let 100 schools of thought contend. You read it again and again, but the page doesn't make sense anymore because the flowers were crushed and the schools were silenced. All that bloomed was fear. SFX, teacup being set down, a small glass crack. You stare at your reflection in the darkened window. Your outline looks older tonight, grayer, thinner, less human. You haven't seen your wife in 7 days. No letter, no whisper, just her shoes still by the door and the cup she last used. You hold it now. You wash it again, just in case she returns. Maybe I'm not meant for this. You say it in your mind. You don't dare whisper it aloud. Maybe the gods made a mistake. But then you stop, because you remember there are no more gods here. Only reports, only armbands, only chants. You sit at the table. The light above you flickers slightly. Not from electricity, but from uncertainty. You begin to write. Today I nearly forgot the 4th line of the red oath. I smiled too late at the inspector. I dreamed of my wife reading a Tang poem. You hesitate. You scratch that last line out. Even dreams betray you now. You pause. The silence is unbearable. You open the window. The city smells like wet cement and coal ash. There's a man coughing on the floor below. You hear his wife shushing him, urgently. Even coughing is dangerous now. You close the window again. You try to sleep, but the mattress feels too soft, too quiet. You lie down on the floor instead. You've grown used to it. Cold concrete, thin blanket, face turned toward the wall. You count the cracks again. 1, 2, 7, 11. You close your eyes, but your mind opens wider. You dream. You're walking through a library. The shelves are infinite. The light is golden. You reach for a book, but it turns to ash in your hands. Another shelf, another book, more ash. You begin to run, but every step is heavier, and the dust clings to your lungs like shame. You wake up gasping. You sit up. You stare into the dark. You whisper something, not to anyone, just to yourself. But the walls echo it back louder. You cover your mouth. You rise again. Back to the desk. Back to the pencil. Back to the page. You write 4 words in the center. I am still here. Then you stop. You tear it out. You burn it in a match flame. Watch the edges curl. You scatter the ashes in the cold rice bowl, and you let the bowl sit there, like an offering to a god that doesn't answer. You return to your mat. This time, you do not lie down. You sit, cross-legged, still. You breathe. In, outside. You wait for morning, because that is your only choice now. There is a line in the sand, and today you are standing on it. A knock at your door. Again. 2 students. their armbands tighter today, their eyes trained not to see you, but to record you. You ask no questions. You follow. They walk ahead. You walk behind, not chained, not forced. But you feel the weight in your bones anyway. The school auditorium has been transformed. The banners are new, thicker strokes, blood red. The stage is surrounded by desks, rearranged like courtroom pews. But there's no judge, no defense, just a single microphone and a chair facing the crowd. Your name is already chalked on the blackboard behind the stage, large, crude, underlined. The room is full. Students, teachers, inspectors, even neighbors. Some stand, some sit, all watch. A girl you once taught to read now holds a bamboo stick across her lap. Another student unfurls a scroll of paper. She begins to read. This is the record of the suspect's ideological crimes. He once used the phrase cultural integrity in reference to classical art. He failed to display proper passion during the singing of Sailing the Seas Depends on the Helmsman. He maintained regular contact with known revisionist individuals. He has not once volunteered to recite from the selected works of Chairman Mao. You bow your head slightly, not from guilt, but because they expect you to. Then they call you forward. You sit in the chair. The microphone hums. You stare at the floor. You do not cry. You do not shake, but you feel yourself thinning, as if your body knows it is being erased in front of a crowd. They demand your confession. You've written 3, rehearsed 5. But now, sitting here, none feel real. You open your mouth. Nothing comes out. A boy from the front row yells, "Why won't he confess?" Another rises. Silence is guilt. The crowd stirs. Heat builds. Then you say it quietly. I am grateful for the correction of my comrades. Your voice is hollow, your mouth dry. But it is enough for a moment. They push a paper toward you. Sign this. You glance down. It's not your confession. It's a prepared one. A perfect one. Every paragraph ends with, "I thank the party for saving me." You hesitate just once. Then you sign. But as your pen lifts, a student stands. She speaks. That is not enough. He teaches children. He must be transformed. The room agrees. Chants rise. Confess. Reform. Purge. You are pulled from the chair. Someone ties a placard around your neck. A student shoves you to your knees. You brace your hands on the ground. It smells like sweat and fear. They call this a ritual of purification, but it feels like a drowning. You are ordered to repeat a chant. Chairman Mao is the great savior of all people. I was blind, but now I see. My old thoughts were poison. You say the first. You choke on the second. You stop on the third. The crowd falls silent. 1 second, then 2. A red guard steps forward. She is no older than 16. Her eyes are glassy, but her voice is steel. Say it, she demands. You raise your head. Your voice trembles, but your words return. I never meant harm, but some thoughts cannot be erased. Silence again, then gasps, then shouting. End segment teaser. Hint at consequence. What happens next will follow you into legend or oblivion. You are dragged up, but not beaten. You are not praised, not punished. You are simply moved, set aside, like a tool no longer sharp, but not yet thrown away. You walk home alone. No escort, no applause, no jail, just the long shadow of your own breath. That night, you sit at your desk. You pick up your pen again. You write the same line over and over. Thoughts are not always crimes. Thoughts are not always crimes. Thoughts. You stop, tear the paper, burn it again. Ash joins the others, but you saved one corner. One word remains. See? You fold it, hide it in your shoe. Not to share, just to remember. A single nail costs a day's work. A smile, 2. That's the math now. You no longer count time in hours, but in favors, calories, and careful silences. Your body is currency. Your words are weight. Your hunger is accounted for and barely tolerated. You begin each day at the ration office, a windowless building, lines so long they blur into posture. Everyone clutches the same card. Brown, stained, folded too many times. A red seal confirms your existence, but not your worth. A woman in front of you is denied. Her voice cracks. Her daughter clutches her sleeve. They are handed rice husks, not rice, not enough to cook, just enough to know what you're missing. You approach the desk. You present your card. The clerk frowns. You were late last month. She stamps it anyway. You receive 300 G's rice, 1 cabbage, a cracked bar of soap, 2 matches. You fold it into a cloth and walk away, grateful, ashamed to be grateful. Outside, a blackboard lists the barter values of the week. 1 soap equals 2 eggs. 1 cigarette equals a 1-hour Q-cut. 1 kiss from a student equals public accusation. That last one is chalked faintly and rubbed out by midday. But everyone saw it, everyone read it, and no one said a word. Surprise fact. Unexpected price or barter system. At the market, a mirror is worth more than shoes, because reflection is now rare. Old copper pans are traded for pencil stubs, and poetry, if whispered in alleys, can buy you a boiled egg or a betrayal. You return to school. No one teaches lessons now. You supervise productive labor. The students weed gardens, wash walls, collect recyclable bricks. You record their hours in a booklet that no one will read. The inspector arrives. He checks shoes for dirt, nails for grease, backs for posture. You remember when books taught character. Now character is measured by your spine. A boy falls asleep during stone stacking. He is punished, not with detention, but with exclusion from lunch. You watch him sit outside the mess hall, staring. You slide a steamed bun onto your desk and look away. Later, it's gone. You say nothing, neither does he. This too is currency. At night, you wash your own clothes by hand. Soap burns your palms. Water is cold. There's a hole in your shirt sleeve. You stitch it, not for pride, just to keep your arms from showing bones. Your shoes wear thin. You bring them to a shoemaker. He runs a stall behind the bicycle shed. He doesn't ask for money, just a quote. You give him one. When the wise man points to the moon, the fool looks at his finger. He smiles. Your shoes are patched by dawn. You receive a letter. It's unsigned. The paper is coarse. The ink smudged. But the words stop your breath. She is alive. Transferred north. Factory work. Your wife. No name mentioned, no address. But hope is now a line of ink pressed between two folds of cloth. You hide it in your chest pocket. Not for warmth. Just to remind your ribs they still protect something worth guarding. The next day, you're tasked with preparing posters for the production drive. You cut red paper, write slogans in black ink. Labor is glory. He who does not work shall not eat. The people's sweat builds tomorrow. You paste them on walls. By the time you return, your hands are stained red. They will not come clean for days. You're invited to a workers' performance night. You don't decline. No one does. Students sing revolutionary poems. Girls wave banners. A young man reenacts the death of bourgeois thought with a wooden sword. Everyone claps. You do too. You try to mean it. But something inside you stays still. Back in your room, the candle burns low. You take out your rice. You eat slowly, counting every grain. Your body aches, but worse is the weight in your jaw. You haven't smiled in days. You try now. It doesn't feel like yours anymore. You sit beside your candle. You unfold the note again. You stare at it as if words could make her walk through the door. But no one knocks. You whisper her name anyway, just once. The flame bends as if it heard. Outside, a child cries. Someone scolds her for wasting tears. You close the window. Silence is warmer. Before sleep, you write again. But this time, not for the party. You write for yourself. My breath is not theirs. My steps are not inventory. My love is still mine. You do not burn this page. You hide it inside a cracked thermos under the bed. Tomorrow, it will still be there, and so will you. The city is quieter now. Not peaceful, just tired. You walk through the alleys, past faded posters. Their slogans have begun to peel. Rain has softened the ink. Even revolution fades when there's no one left to shout. You carry a bundle of chalkboards for the school. On your way back, you pass the book trader's alley. It was shut for years. Now one window has cracked open, just barely. A man, old, blind in one eye, waves you in. He says nothing. He doesn't need to. He slides a book across the table, wrapped in cloth, bound in silence. You unfold it. Tang poetry. Not a copy, not state-printed. A handwritten one. Your fingers tremble as you flip a page. A line stares back at you. In stillness, the mountain air sharpens thought. In silence, I hear the truth beneath the drums. You look up. The man nods. You give him nothing, just bow and walk away. You hide the book beneath the school courtyard stone. Your breath catches, not in fear, in memory. You remember what it felt like to teach something beautiful without consequence. That night, the knock comes again. You freeze, but you open it. Not a student, not a guard. Your wife. Her face is thinner, her hair cut short, but her eyes, still her. She speaks no word, just steps inside, closes the door. You both sit in silence. The candle flickers between you. Finally she whispers, "They burned everything in Yichang. The textile factory, the poetry circle, even the radio." You nod. You take her hand. Your hand remembers how to hold. Call back the legacy line. This day will echo through time. You don't speak of survival. You don't speak of pain. You just sit. Two still shadows in the soft light of being still here. The next morning, you return to the classroom. You write a lesson on the board. One word, one poem. Li Bai. No one reacts, but the girl in the back, the one who always weeps, lowers her head and scribbles something in her book. A choice has been made. Maybe not aloud, but a crack has formed. The inspector passes your door. He slows. He frowns at the board. He keeps walking. You exhale, a long, honest breath. Later, while sweeping the courtyard, a boy drops a folded note at your feet. You open it. I remember the moon over the water. Thank you for giving it back. No name, no mark, but your chest burns, not in fear, in remembrance. You don't cry, not yet, but something inside you softens, like snow before melt, like language before law. And then it comes, the letter, red seal. Official. It reads, "You are hereby reassigned to countryside labor, effective immediately. Re-education begins at the northern farm block." You read it once, twice. You fold it slowly. You place it in your thermos, next to the old secret page. My breath is not theirs. You pack one bag. You take no books, just one poem folded in your shoe. You hug your wife. She does not cry. She said, "Return with your name." You nod, but in your heart, you already know. Even if you don't, you'll keep hers safe. You board the train. No goodbyes, no labels, just fields beyond the window, and strangers who no longer flinch. You are going where silence grows, where labor reshapes the soul, where forgetting is policy and memory is mutiny. But this time, you are ready. The moon is out. It hangs like a silent witness above the rice paddies, watching the countryside hold its breath. You don't move. Not yet. You lie on your back in a barrack of strangers. The wooden plank beneath you creaks, but you don't shift your weight. Even that feels too loud. You listen to the cough in the corner, to the rustle of a blanket too thin to warm anyone, to the wind brushing through holes in the roof like fingers searching for something lost. You inhale dust, sweat, hay, the quiet presence of 20 broken men pretending to sleep. And still you listen, because in the quiet you finally hear yourself again. The bunk above you shifts. The man sleeping there has nightmares every night. You know this, though you've never asked his name. Here, names are not given. Only numbers, only silence, only shared labor, shared hunger, shared forgetting. The candle in the corner flickers, then dies. Darkness, complete. You stare upward into it, and for the first time in months, you feel no one is watching you, not even the party, just the wind, the ceiling, and the small memory of who you once were. Your hands ache from the day's digging. They bled, not from work, but from remembering how to hold something without fear. You scrub the dirt off tonight, but it's still under the nails, deep in the skin, stitched into your fingers like a reminder. You touched the earth today and lived. That in itself is a quiet rebellion. Earlier that evening, a boy at the camp passed you a torn page. No words, just a pencil sketch. A single mountain, a full moon, nothing else. You didn't ask who drew it. You didn't thank him. But you folded it into your shirt, pressed it over your chest like armor. You think of your wife. You always do before sleep. You picture her lighting the stove, folding the old blanket, sitting by the window with the moon on her hands. You don't remember her voice anymore, but you remember the weight of it, how it softened the air. You remember the tea you shared on your last night together. You both sat without speaking, because there was nothing left to say that wouldn't have been dangerous to hear. You rise now, carefully. Your footsteps are slow, measured, each one placed with reverence, as if walking on the bones of the past. You reach beneath your bunk. You take out the thermos, the one that no longer holds water, only pages. The secret scrap you folded weeks ago is still there. The edges are worn, the ink faded, but the words remain. My breath is not theirs. My steps are not inventory. My love is still mine. You run your thumb over the last line, then you fold it back with care. You add a new scrap beside it, the sketch of the mountain, 2 artifacts, 2 truths, that you are still here and that you still see. You sit back down. The moonlight slips through the slats above your bed and rests softly on your knees. It feels holy, not in any religious way, but in that rare way truth feels when it comes without permission. You close your eyes, but the images do not stop. You remember the classroom, the chalk, the way a student once asked you what a metaphor was, before metaphors became illegal. You remember the scent of old paper, the way children's heads tilted when they tried to understand poems older than the country itself. You remember your name, not how it was shouted, but how it was once spoken quietly, by someone who loved you. You were never just a servant. You were the story. That voice echoes again, and you realize you haven't lost your voice. You've only been whispering in a storm. You lie back, you breathe, in, out. You let your chest rise without fear. You let your shoulders fall without armor. You feel the ache in your spine, the weight in your eyes, the scar near your ribs that no one sees. And for the first time in a long time, you allow yourself to rest, not because it's assigned, but because you choose to. Sleep doesn't come fast, but it comes honestly, not like a surrender, not like an escape, but like a memory returning, soft, persistent, kind. The night deepens. The stars wheel above, unseen. Somewhere in the distance, a child stirs in her sleep and dreams of music she's never heard aloud. A crow calls once from a tree without leaves. A page carried by the wind slips from a window and lands beside your bunk. You do not wake to see it, but tomorrow, when you rise, you'll find it, and you'll read its line, and once again, you'll remember, you are not done. Sleep now. Tomorrow, they'll call your name again. And this time, you will answer not because they demand it, but because you remember it. You wake just before dawn. You're still in the bunk, still in the camp. But something has changed. Not the sky, it's still gray. Not the air, still cold, metallic, dry. It's something else, something inside your chest, something like a name forming again in the dark. Your own. You rise slowly. The others are still asleep. You sit by the window, cracked, warped, grimy, but enough to let the moonlight touch your face. You stare through it, at nothing, at everything, at the soft breath of a world that has crushed so many, but not quite you. And you begin to wonder, not just how you've survived, but why. What part of you refused to die when they stripped your books, your voice, your wife, your language, your meaning? What stayed alive? What hid in the marrow waiting for this moment? You remember the page in your thermos. You unfold it again, just once more. The lines are nearly gone now, but you still see them, still feel them. My breath is not theirs. My steps are not inventory. My love is still mine. You were never just a servant. You were the story. You close your eyes, and this time you don't see slogans. You don't hear drums. You don't flinch at footsteps. You hear a voice, yours, not whispering, just speaking, calmly, clearly, like a story being told back to you, as if to say, you were there, you lived, and now you must remember. Because not everyone did. Not everyone could. Some forgot their names. Some were buried without theirs. Some vanished inside the pages of loyalty statements, their handwriting erased by state ink. Some were executed with placards hung around their necks, words they never believed. Some chose silence. Some were forced into it. But all of them deserved to be remembered. And now, through you they are, because you stepped into this world. You saw what they saw, felt what they feared, walked where they fell, and you carried something out that could never be burned. So I ask you now, gently, as someone who has told you this story from the dust, could you have lived one full day inside a history where every moment of silence could be taken as guilt, where a poem could become a noose, where a glance could mean exile, where memory itself was treated like treason? Let me ask you something even deeper. Would you have remembered who you were, even when the world begged you to forget? Would you have hidden a single line of poetry in the fold of your shoe? Would you have whispered a name into the wind just to know it hadn't vanished? Would you have dared to feel? This was never just a history lesson. It was a ritual of remembrance, and you were part of it because you chose to listen when others might have scrolled past, because you felt something when others just watched, because you're still here after everything. You're rare. People like you don't just consume stories. They carry them. They bleed with them. They speak them forward. And that is how history survives. So please, don't leave quietly. Let this echo through you. Leave a comment below, not for the algorithm, but for the memory of those who never got to tell theirs. Tell me, would you have confessed? Would you have resisted? Would you have remembered the name of someone you loved, even when no one else would? And if you feel heavy after this, good. That means it touched the part of you that is still human, still soft, still willing to be changed. Because history isn't something you read. It's something you inherit. You breathe it. You walk in its bones. You carry its echoes through your bloodline, even if no one told you. Even if your own ancestors had their story stolen from them. You made it to the end, and that matters. Because stories like this don't end with explosions. They end with quiet people choosing to listen, and maybe, just maybe, choosing to speak. Sleep well, storyteller. Rest deeply. The past remembers you, even if history does not. You don't know what wakes you first, the banging on the door or the silence in your chest. They come without warning. Red guards and oversized armbands and beat-up canvas shoes. Their faces flushed with conviction or hunger. Maybe both. They ransack your home, kicking over the inkstone your grandfather carved, ripping scrolls from the wall, stomping on the photographs of your ancestors. You try to speak. You try to explain. But your voice vanishes before your mouth opens. A neighbor screams from down the alley. Another struggle session has begun. And now it's your turn. They don't let you dress. You're barefoot, shirt torn, face swollen from the first few blows. They shove a placard against your chest, crudely painted with your name and your sins. Rightist, counter-revolutionary, corrupt intellectual, a label to replace your identity. They drag you through the streets. People you've known your entire life stare as if you've become something foul, diseased. You taught some of them to read. You helped one deliver a baby. It doesn't matter now. The courtyard is already full. A crowd packed shoulder to shoulder beneath red banners that scream, "Smash the four olds." No mercy for class enemies. Loyalty to Mao above all. At the front, a bamboo stage. They force you onto it. You're not standing. You're posing. Arms yanked behind your back in the cruel airplane position. Chest jutting out. Your body trembling from the pain in your shoulders. A loudspeaker crackles. A Red Guard girl steps forward. She can't be more than 16. Cheeks round, voice sharp. Eyes burning with indoctrinated fire. She holds your confession like scripture. This man, she announces, taught his students to admire Confucius. He stored bourgeois poetry in his study. He criticized a poster of Chairman Mao. Each line lands like a whip. The crowd howls, laughter, jeering. You hear your name twisted into insults. You hear children repeating them. A boy no taller than your desk, throws a handful of mud. It hits your cheek. The crowd roars with approval. Your eyes scan the sea of faces. There's the grocer who once gave you extra rice. There's the tailor who owed you money. There's your niece, her face pale, expression unreadable. She looks away, and then someone you don't recognize, a factory worker maybe, spits at your feet. Another steps up and slaps you across the face. One after another, they strike. Not hard, not enough to kill, enough to humiliate, enough to remind you that you are no longer a person, only an example. Your mouth is dry, your legs are shaking, your knees collapse beneath you, and you fall forward, but you're yanked upright. You know how this ends. You lower your head, and you say it, the words they want. I was wrong. I betrayed the revolution. Long live Chairman Mao. You say them slowly. Each word tastes like ash. The Red Guards nod. The crowd claps. Some even smile because you've performed your role. The ritual is complete. But something in you has snapped, quietly, invisibly. You will never speak freely again. You will never look in a mirror the same way. You survived the struggle session, but a part of you did not.